All right, my name is Bart Merrill. I am the Side Hustle Samurai. I help people identify their ideal side hustle so that they can create financial security by monetizing the things that they already know and do. Today, we're going to talk about when is a side hustle a business and vice versa. I thought that was a good question when I heard it. So let's start off everything by identifying or defining what a side hustle is and what a business is. I looked it up, and a side hustle is something that complements your life. A business is defined a structure with a system that sometimes takes over your life. So I'm going to go over a couple of examples. The first example is one that kind of took over my life. It is this one here. Top dog training. I got my swag going on. So because I have swag, does that mean that I am a business? Not necessarily. When I started Top Dog training, it was supposed to be a side hustle, but I worked 388 days before I took a day off. Let me just describe what that looked like. 388 days with every day having 3 to 5 client dogs in my house. Plus, I had 2 of my own dogs. That is a crazy situation. It was somewhat enjoyable, but it was a lot of work and a lot of responsibility because you're dealing with animals and sometimes they get upset. Sometimes we could have a fight. So it was a lot of responsibility managing and controlling 6 to 7 dogs for 388 days. Now, granted, I made a lot of money. It was good income, but was it a business or was it a side hustle? Started as a side hustle, but very quick, it ramped up in no time. Like that, it ramped up in no time, and we were doing huge number. It was crazy. Then I had to have knee surgery, and I had to take 5 weeks off, and it was a great vacation. When I came back, I put in the structure, I put in the system that is supposed to make a side hustle a business, and I got to go back to a side hustle. Dogs came in the same day, went home the same day, and I had 4 or 5 days off before the next dogs came in. I was still doing 4 or 5 client dogs at a time, so that was still work. It was still a business. It was still, I don't want it was less controlling my life because I got a vacation after each set of dogs went home. And then I had to have my leg amputated, and I cut back to 1 or 2 dogs instead of 3 or 4 or 5 dogs. And now it is more of a side hustle, but it has structure. It has a system that makes it easier to where it's more of a side hustle, but it's more than side hustle income. It's a really decent income, but it allows me time to do other things that I want to do. Now let's take a little field trip back to when I was 15 and I started my first side hustle, the mobile disco business. I would plan my own events for the weekends, but I didn't do much during the week. I made some good income for a teenager. I started at age 15 and I went through college, and it made good income for a teenager, and it was still on a side hustle business because I was going to school, I was going to college, and let me tell you, I added part-time jobs in with that, and that made college a little bit rougher to where I was doing a lot of work and school at the same time. But it was a side hustle. I didn't have the structure. I didn't have any systems other than I would set up my own events and do my own dances and parties until I started to get known and people started to hire me for their business, for their things. We even did a funeral. It was strange, but we did a wake, a funeral, and a party afterwards. So when is your business a side hustle or your side hustle a business? Number one, let's look at it like this. If you're doing a side hustle or a business, you better treat it like a business and not a hobby, or your chance of failure is going to be a lot higher. So treat your side hustle like a business. What do I mean by that? Keep your expenses separate. Keep your bank accounts separate from your personal accounts. Do your proper accounting. Take your proper deductions. Treat it like a business. You're going to have to take the time to do the business. I took the first commercial bungee jump to Japan. Did I expect it to become a business? Not necessarily. It was a contract, 1099 type of a contract deal with a client in Japan, and they paid me for what I did, but I had to move to Japan. I had to work every day. And so was it a job? Was it a side hustle? Was it a business? I still had other things on the side. I actually met a guy in Japan at the gym that I went to, and me and him partnered up and started an import-export business, shipping camping trailers, Ford and Dodge diesel pickups, and then parts for all the such to Japan on the side of doing the bungee jump business, which turned into a sky coaster business, which turned into an amusement park ride style business, a thrill ride style business. Or is it a side hustle? It was a side hustle in that it didn't control my life. It did that I had to move to Japan. I lived on and off in Japan for 6 years until I got married to my wife, who was from Japan. So is it a side hustle? Is it a business? It doesn't matter as long as you treat it like a business and you take the time, you block the time to get the things done that you need to get done for that business or side hustle. So treat it like a business. Now I'm going to give you a pure example of a side hustle that turned into a business. It's in my book, Monetize Your Mindset. You can get it on Amazon or at my website, bartmerrill.com. And it's about Jamberry. Jamberry was a nail wrap company started by two sisters who would go get their nails done back in 2010. They would go into the salon and get them done. It was 50, 60 bucks a pop, quite expensive. And one day they were walking out. One of them said to the other, I wonder if we could do this ourselves cheaper. Once they started to explore that, they were going to start a side business for the family to get together and do things and have a good time and make a little extra money. Turned into a multi-million-dollar business. By 2010, the company was doing over $500 million in business. So over $500 million in business. They sold the company, or 50% of the company, for a multi-million-dollar deal. Started out as a side hustle, turned into an obvious business. Let's look at my weight loss product that I sell. It was a full-on side hustle. I needed to lose weight. I was going to do it anyway, so I might as well get paid for it. Always stayed a side hustle. It never produced a ton of income. Now, I'm going to tell you that I probably didn't treat that business or that side hustle like a business. I set up a website. I shared my experience online, and I would sell a few of these here and there. Sometimes it was $50 a month. Sometimes it was $1,000 a month, but it was never a consistent, huge income because I didn't treat it like a business. So once again, let's talk about treating your side hustle like a business. Whether it's a side hustle or a business, treat it like a business. Now, when it comes to your side hustle growing to like the dog training business that I did, it grew from 0 to doing 4 or 5 dogs at a time and went crazy in no time. Now, it did go into the business section of controlling my life or being my life, but it was a fun business. Taking care of other people's dogs, having and experiencing the different personalities was fun for me. I enjoyed it, but it was a little bit stressful and it was a lot. Do you want that, or do you want it to be a strictly side hustle? I have taken mine back down to be a side hustle to where I can do many other things. Now, it's not just about the money. I have a friend, a mentor, someone that I am working with to learn how to trade the gold dollar online in the Forex market. And he makes a significant amount of money on a daily basis doing this in a very little bit of time. Time-wise, it's a side hustle. Income-wise, it's a business. This is the way he says it. He says he lives life on his own terms. He trades when he wants. And if a trade comes up and he doesn't feel like trading, he doesn't trade. And so he lives life on his own terms. It's a side hustle, time-wise, income-wise. It is business style income. Now let's take a little bit and talk about, do you need an LLC? When do you need an LLC for a business? Well, that depends. Depends on two things. Number one, how much money are you making? If you don't have, and let's go to number two. Number one, how much money you're making. Number two, are you in a business that has liability issues? So an LLC is for liability protect or asset protection. And an LLC can also be when you're making more than $5,000 a month. That's kind of the place where you want to start an LLC. But also you want to start it immediately if you're in a business that has some sort of liability, because you want to use it for asset protection. When I started the dog training business, I got an LLC before I even started. With the weight loss that I did, I never got an LLC. It was just my personal income. So you want to talk to a business professional, a tax professional to see where you qualify. Let's go to the next step, to an S-Corp. When you need an S-Corp, somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000 in income. An S-Corp is for asset protection, but it's also for tax purposes. It helps you get better deductions, or you can take different deductions with that. Once again, I'm not a tax professional, so talk to a tax professional on this issue. But I'm just giving you some basic guidelines. You can imagine with Jamberry, they went from nothing to an LLC to a corporation really quick because of the size of income and the number of employees that they were employing. So when does your side hustle become a business? There's a lot of factors, but the real thing is it doesn't matter so much, in that you need to treat your side hustle like a business, not a hobby, because if you don't, your chances of failure are greater, and you're going to leave income on the table. My name is Bart Merrill, the Side Hustle Samurai. If you would like the 25 successful side hustle ideas for 2025, the link will be in the description and in the comments. So check it out, see if it's something that can help you, or if you know someone that would need that, get it to them. And like and subscribe, tune in for the next video, and till then, go monetize it.